Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Counterpart, Season 1, Episode 2. It's called Birds of a Feather. So, full spoilers for the episode, as will be normal going forward. And this is picking up, I was actually I'm kind of impressed with how it's kind of naturally fanning out the way. In terms of, we started really sort of focused, and we got a little bit more of the world in this one, or more specifically, the other world.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Because I think for future reference, we'll go by Earth 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Regular
I'm gonna
Howard,
have to.
yeah, regular Howard being Earth 1, and badass Howard being Earth 2 for future reference. And yeah, so we actually pick up right where we left off. We pick up in the diner. Emily's there, and we know that he's got a higher clearance than her now.
Yeah, because last week we were speculating maybe she was his
Yeah.
boss.
And then seemingly from the rest of the episode, we get that she's housekeeping. She's the Aldrich of
Yes.
that side, which is interesting.
I feel like she should have higher clearance for that job.
It depends. We don't know a whole lot about his position
No,
yet.
we don't, but I feel
Yeah.
like that should be really high clearance. So, you know,
Yeah, you would think. You would think.
you would. I mean, clearly I'm wrong, and that's fine. Just
Yeah.
expectations.
But we'll learn more. We learned quite a few things though. Obviously, she's there for was it a reddition order?
I can't remember the
I,
exact
I
word.
think I think that's what she called it. But she's there for that, and she's brought like these guys, Bulgarians. They were calling them. I don't know if that literally means they're from Bulgaria or if it's just like a
Yeah, I wasn't sure because
code name.
as soon as they walk in,
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, those two Bulgarians just walked in." I'm like, "Okay, that's very specific to know just looking at them."
I feel like it's a nickname for these operatives that
Yeah, because if they'd
this.
spoken, he'd heard the accent and gone, those Bulgarians.
Yeah.
I'd go sure, but
But so she thinks she's just got them there for that order, but they actually tried to assassinate him in the car outside. It's a really nice little moment because he's in there. You see him looking at the guy's gun just for a second, and then we go outside the car and we just hear the gunshots, and he comes out, and those three are dead. And we find out that order never actually came from the company. That never happened. Someone else is
Giving
causing
orders, yeah.
causing shady shit to go on and try to set up Emily as a result. But so we learn a few things about this world. We learn that he's actually not only working for the company, he's also working for another sort of group. He's going to a man named Pope, who
Yes.
does seem to hang out at a church, although churches don't seem to be used as traditionally as they used to be. Faith doesn't seem to be a thing as much anymore, as Pope says. I think he says, "Oh, it's more a place to come and see your ghosts" or something like that. He says.
yeah.
So interesting little tidbits of the world, and he's like, "Oh yeah, be careful because if nothing happens when you go back in, it means that order never came from them, and someone's trying to cover it up." Which seems to be the case, as we get from the Emily scene where she gets grilled by her superiors. But so we learn a little bit about that. We see him, and once Howard comes back over into Earth 1, we keep seeing Emily. We see Emily's got a boyfriend, and we see that they were married. Someone refers to them as exes.
Yeah.
Ex-husband or wife. It depends on how this refers the sentence, but they use that phrase. And we also see that smoking is seemingly banned on Earth 2.
Go then.
Yeah, I applaud that. Earth 2 smells much better, but that actually explains why so many people on Earth 1 seem to smoke. It's kind of like a tell sign for us that they're on Earth 1, which is really interesting. But so we learn that. So we learn all these little things, and she goes to Pope as well at the end of the episode and tries to grill him. It's like, "Oh, what's he in on?" And she's like, "Oh, trust me, you're better off not knowing, what he's looking into." And I think there's still a possibility that Howard 2 might swerve and turn out to be a complete evil scumbag, and he's got ulterior motives. But at the very least, he is working outside the system with this other group.
Absolutely. That is undeniable. And I really don't know how much we can trust Pope. I mean, Emily doesn't trust him, but
No.
knows him enough by reputation at the very least to kind of go along with things a bit, not just to trying to rest him outright.
Yeah, she's very foul-mouthed and short-tempered, by the way.
Yes, she is.
Dropping a lot of f-bombs left and right in this episode. She was, but that was the Earth 2 stuff. Howard 2 comes back over to Earth 1, and they're going to try and track down Baldwin, who was the assassin who tried to kill Emily in the hospital last week. She got shot in the cheek. We see her stitching up her face, all very gritty, and what's interesting about her is she seems to also be working for a group. It's not just her. She's not a lone wolf. Because
No.
someone comes, I know from IMDb her name's Claire. Someone comes to see her and uses, and this is the interesting part for me that said, oh, this is like a proper group, because she says, well, they're going to go to your counterpart on this earth to try and find you. You know what standard protocol is.
Yeah.
You don't have standard protocol when you're a lone wolf or you're just a small, batch of people.
Exactly.
That
It makes
something.
it clear that, okay, she's part of something larger.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder, could it be the same thing that Howard 2 is kind of involved in on the side?
Are they opposing forces?
Or that, yeah. Is there a third party now?
Yeah. Or is hers actually secretly the company, and that's why Howard's going outside the company, because he thinks that they're actually involved in it's like this is like the black ops side of the company that's doing all the bad shit that no one's supposed to be doing, and he's going outside because he doesn't agree with it and he wants to see what's going on.
And it raises the question of, okay, why is Emily on this Earth? Why was she a target? Because we see where she's on Earth too. I get why she'd be a target there. Why this one? Because it wasn't here. It's not there to go and get information, see what she's like. Recon. This was an assassination.
Yeah, it could be because Howard 2 said it was to send a message to him. What if it's to send a message to Emily too? Like they'll take the body back or something and throw it at her. Hey,
no.
How much more threatening could you get? I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of poking at that. The other option I think is that Emily is secretly a bad guy and she ordered the hit. Baldwin's working for her and she ordered the hit because when she eventually flees to Earth 2, she can pretend to be that Emily or something like that. I don't know.
See, that doesn't work for me. I get what you're saying.
I'm just spitballing. I don't really have.
No, I'm just saying. But if she was killed, there'd be records of her death. So when she'd pop up again.
Okay, well, likewise, then they don't want them going to her to track down Emily too on this Earth.
Yeah, that's fair.
If she does escape over here.
Yeah.
So interesting ideas. But the big theme of this episode, though, so Howard took us over. He's like, no, Howard 1's got his new promotion. Yeah, he's a waste of time there. No, he's coming with us. So let's get him being useful with us. And there's a little joke how they're both wearing the same shirt. And he's like, I don't believe this. But he gets him to meet him at the concert hall because Baldwin on this side, Denise, her name is, that's her real name.
It was Nadia, I'm pretty sure.
Nadia, sorry.
We literally just went over this.
Well, it's because you said, do you remember her real name? And I said, I think it's Denise. And then you went and looked up and it turned out to be Nadia. But I remembered what I guessed and not what you said it actually was. Nadia, yeah. So they go to the concert hall because Nadia, Baldwin's counterpart, is actually a violinist. She's a big violinist. She's rehearsing at the concert hall. And they're here to see her and see if they can talk to her and get any information out of her to track down, because again that's what was his face Claire said they would do. They would use her because again this split was 29 years ago, and everything before that was the same, and more than that in a second. And then so they share history. They share, and what I like as well is this episode you get some flashbacks to their childhood, which would have been after the split because she's not that old. She's not old enough that this would all be before the split.
Right, okay. No, I see what you're saying.
Because she's like what, 8, 10 in the flashback? She's not.
No.
She's not in her 40s, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So, but what I like about that idea though is that so the split happens and then it's not like it just suddenly becomes really different. It's gradually getting different over the 29 years because things move further apart. So for the first little while, things would theoretically be really similar.
Yeah, definitely.
Until points start to differ a little bit more. And obviously, both Nadia's deal with the trauma of their father and what their childhood was like differently, and they go in different paths. But they're both kind of based on the same.
I mean, Howard 2 kind of says it like that. It's like, there was one, and they split, and they got further and further apart. It wasn't instant. Yeah,
because we questioned that last week. We said, were these two Earths always existing, or was it one that was split in two?
Which is what we leant towards, admittedly.
It was, and I think I still think they could swap that around if they wanted to later. That's what they think, or that's what they.
Yeah. Just because Howard 2 tells us that's what happened doesn't mean he's correct. It's what he believes.
Yeah.
It's what he thinks he knows. So
Because how would they really know?
I don't think you could. Well, they deduced that it would probably be just one before, because just opening a doorway shouldn't cause them to go in such different paths, right?
Yeah. Again, it's all theoretical, so there's not.
It is.
I
It
mean,
is. It just seems really strange to me that they'd be identical to a point, and then oh, there's a doorway. Now we're different.
well,
It
yeah,
seems much more
I think that's
but
why we came more down in that side when we talked
yeah.
about it. But the fact that he's outright saying it in episode 2 makes me think we're going to be swerved later, and there'll be more to it than
Oh,
that.
maybe,
But
maybe it's just not that important, and they're just telling us that for anyone who didn't assume that.
I don't know. It just depends what they choose to focus on
Yeah.
later.
No, it's fair because at the moment, I know last week we said this could focus on the two Earth stuff, or it could focus more on being the spy thriller. And after this episode, I still don't know which one it's going to be.
It could just be even throughout.
It could.
That's a possibility because the core of this episode is really about Nadia and how same childhood, but they're both so different. Because Baldwin comes to kill Earth One Nadia. She comes to
Yes.
kill her. Meanwhile, Howard from Earth 2 is like talking to her and he's playing this like dumb dad, but kind of like tying it into her backstory so that she kind of opens up a little bit.
He's good at his job.
Yeah, but while they're at the bar, and I think actually if I have a complaint about this episode is that it's just to sort of link it back to the last episode, is that it does again have a little bit of pacing issues. I think it's a little bit long in the tooth. But once it gets to that final like 15 minutes where everything starts like kicking off, it's like great from till the end.
No, it is. I feel like it kind of spins its wheels a little bit here and there. Like just kind of it's like, okay, we know where we're going, but we're not quite ready to get there yet.
Yeah, it could do with a bit of trimming. The episodes are about 55 minutes, and I feel like if you just trimmed 5 minutes, just trimmed a little bit here or
I
there.
think like 40, 47, 48 be a perfect length.
Yeah, because once it gets to the point where she actually like looks through the window and sees herself, and she puts in this call to the police to get them all to arrive and like break up the fact that she's with the other, because she doesn't know she's with like agents or anything like that at this point in Nadia, and then the police show up and they sort of bring her out because they think it's a kidnapping, because she's put in a call saying, oh, there's a woman being kidnapped by two men, and
Yeah, hostage situation.
yeah, so they come in and they pull her out, and that's when she like strikes and she shoots some of the cops, and like she
Notably not kill shots though.
yeah, I noticed that as well. Not at first. It was when Howard and what's his face, Aldrich came out afterwards, and they looked down at them, and the cops were all kind of holding their shoulder, they were holding their leg, they were all kind of moving a little bit.
Incapacitated,
Yeah.
like knee shots and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
she
not
wasn't.
dead.
She wasn't killing, which is interesting because I feel like the last episode really painted Baldwin as more sadistic than that.
Very ruthless, whereas this was no. She's skilled enough that she chooses not to
Yeah.
kill them, and I find that interesting.
But sure enough, she doesn't actually go through with it. She's got her down on the ground, she's got the gun pointed at her, and she just can't quite do it because she's begging for her life, she's crying. And she's got a balaclava on at this point, by the way. Like, Nadia doesn't see that it's herself. Like, she can't see her right now. But she ends up grabbing her, and we get a bit of a chase sequence. And like I say, all the gunshots were good. In fact, speaking before the gunshots, she goes into one of the cars with the men inside it, and it's just this quick little moment where she goes in and she just like slits both their throats like really quickly. It's a really good little slick action scene.
It is.
But she goes running with her, and they're sort of hiding in the concert hall and stuff, and they're backstage. And we get this interesting thing where she pulls off the balaclava, and Nadia thinks like, "Oh, you're like a ghost of my past, like come and like torture me for my
You're
sins."
some sort of demon.
Yeah, and she asks the question, like, how are you like so successful? Because at one point she's like, "Oh, I can give you money. Like I've got money, I can give you it." Which obviously I don't necessarily think that Baldwin has, at least not to the same extent, not being a famous violinist.
No, but the money would be useless to her anyway.
Oh, it would be, sure. But I think it's more. It's not the money itself. It's more about like what she's done with her life, and she's in this status, and she's like, and then she comes to realize that she's just as screwed up as she is. Arguably more so, depending on your point of view, because she lifts up her shirt, her sleeves, and there's like cut marks. She's like had suicide attempts. She's been slitting her wrists a lot, and it's like.
There's a point where she says, how do you live without, how are you not remembering this all the time? How do you forget? And we already know she doesn't, because, we had that scene where she's with Howard too at the bar, and, they're remembering together, essentially. It's cut in between the two of them remembering the events.
Yeah. Which I actually think is a really fascinating idea, that we get flashbacks that are actually for two people at the same time.
Yeah,
it's really,
cool.
it's an interesting little twist, and it's a fascinating little thing. And it's like she realizes that no, she's not actually that much better. She just threw herself into playing the violin, whereas she threw herself into being this operative, and like
yes.
But they both just devoted themselves to something. But we see they've got
the job essentially.
Yeah, but they've both got their own little things. Like they've both got that same tapping thing that they got from their dad. But you see them both do it. They both take off their shoes whenever they're like on stage or in the house or whatever. We see that they've got all these little things that are the same. But they both went in very different paths. And I was surprised we didn't get a flashback showing us the divergent point, like the moment where they chose.
I think likely because there isn't just one divergent point
in
that way.
That's fair. I was kind of expecting it though, because you get the final kind of flashback is where they both watch their father die, because they make the choice not to save him, because he falls in the subway. He falls on the tracks because he's drunk, right? They established that early, and he's lying there. And he's like, "Hey, go get help, honey." I do have to question: is there not like cameras in the subway?
There would be, but this would have been, when 80s.
Yeah.
Late 80s, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe just not enough time actually, because the train comes relatively quickly, so.
Yeah, maybe someone ran straight down and was like, okay, but didn't get there in time.
Yeah, maybe. But she makes the choice. She just stands there, and you can see she's making a conscious choice. No, I'm actually happy that you're about to die. Like that was kind of the thing. So they both have that dark thing in their past. So it's interesting. I think it's made Baldwin a little bit more interesting that she's not. I think her not going for the kill shots with the police makes her a little bit more interesting, because I think before she wasn't not interesting, but she's inherently a little bit more fascinating that she's only killing the people she believes she has to kill and not just anyone.
Yeah, and to the point where she sounded like she was so committed to killing herself. The other version of herself, and she was so confident that she could do it.
Can we just acknowledge the odd twist in that there, where Nadia was suicidal and she literally killed herself, but it was Baldwin who did it.
There's an irony to it.
Yeah,
well, Baldwin didn't really do it, did she? In the end.
Okay. Oh, sure. Yeah, but she was going to. Is what I'm saying. But much like the attempted, it was like an attempted suicide.
No, I'm
even more so.
Yeah, she couldn't go through with it.
Yeah,
and I think that's fascinating as well, because this exterior that we're seeing, we thought last time, oh, she's ruthless, she's unstoppable. Here, no, she's kind of conflicted, at least at times.
Yeah, and she watches herself die. It's actually, I don't know his name, but it's one of the security guys that works for Aldrich who takes her down, which is an interesting question. Okay, she knows about counterparts, take her out immediately. That was the choice. Like, get rid of her. And Howard 2 is like, when they get back to like Howard 1's place, and because he's got a 36-hour visa. That's important to note. He's here for 3 days, or no, day and a half. Day and a half. Sorry. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, your maths is atrocious.
Apologies. He's there for a day and a half, so he's spending the night at Howard's, and they're like, "Oh, let's take him somewhere else." And he's like, "No, F you! I don't follow your orders." And Aldrich, even though Quayle is playing along with him, he's not necessarily happy about it. And he's like, "Yeah, nice job, you two assholes. Like, you got police shot, but now like this person knows there was a crossing. In fact, not only that, they now have a crosser in custody, because that's the thing, is that Baldwin comes out and holds like Nadia's dead body, and then that's when the police come in and they arrest her, and it's like, okay, so now they have a counterpart in custody.
Yeah, are they not going to see the body and then see this woman and go,
That's the thing. I imagine we'll get some scenes of them being like, okay, we'll search if she has a twin sister. That'd be the first obvious.
Yeah.
Does she have relatives that this could be, and then they won't find it. I was like, okay, so who is this crazy person with the half Joker mouth?
Like the next episode has to be them breaking into the prison to get her, right?
You would think.
You've got to get her out, police. I mean, Quayle's like, we've dealt with worse. We'll be fine. Maybe they've got some protocol that they can get her out.
I say break her out. It'd probably just assassinate her.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that being the choice. Or maybe Earth 2 really wants her back for reasons.
Well, I mean, we did say that Howard 2's like, no, I want her alive. I need her alive.
That's true, yeah.
I think it was Quayle was like, yeah, well, I don't give a damn. Whatever, your Earth, your problems.
Yeah. I think where the episode slowed down is we had a scene where they're searching Nadia's apartment. I almost said Denise again. They're searching Nadia's apartment, and then they go and search the house where they grew up at, because that's where they both grew up, because it's the same memory. And it's like, okay, like those are the sort of scenes where it maybe dragged down a little bit. I did like the fight between the Howards at the end though, where Howard 1 gets frustrated at Howard 2, because Howard 2 is basically trying to reshape his life so that he's more like him. He's like, oh yeah, you be here because you're more useful. You can come on missions with me.
Yeah, he wants him on strategy.
Yeah, which is why I think ultimately he might have some sort of motive, not necessarily a bad motive. Like it could be good, it could be bad, but I feel like he's positioning him for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, Howard 1 even calls him out. It's like, you want me to spy for you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because we see how tight they are about fraternization, and, you know, they are kind of still like a Cold War between the two Earths in terms of the way they treat intelligence. So it's clear, like, okay, he's trying to position someone to get himself on the inside, but why is the question?
Yeah, obviously we spoke about how setting it in Berlin was clearly a parallel to the Cold War, and you know, with East and West Berlin, and clearly we're still sort of going along those lines where it kind of feels like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, I mean, I enjoyed the episode a lot. I still think it has a little bit of pacing issues, but I'm into everything it's exploring.
Yeah, I feel very similar ultimately to how I did last week, where it's like I really liked a lot of the ideas, and I really like certain chunks of the episodes, but overall it's just not quite there yet
As a whole.
Yeah.
But I think the final 15-20 minutes.
That's the best part of the two
yeah.
episodes so far, for sure.
Absolutely, it was great. The action is actually really well shot. I think it's such a laid back kind of serious drama with a lot of talking, right? That I'm always kind of surprised whenever it goes into action mode, and it does this really well.
That's it. It plays the you know, the serious spy thriller of, you know, lots of shady meetings in back rooms for so much of the episode that when it does the action break out, like, you kind of forget that, oh yeah, it can do this as well.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really slick with that stuff.
It is, yeah.
So, no, it's good. So that's Counterpart episode 2. So we'll be back next week. Apologies, this one was a little bit later.
Yes.
Because Connor fell asleep, which you may already know from the Star Trek review, because both of them get pushed back. But apologies for that. So that is episode 2. We will be back next week, episode 3. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Give us your thoughts and theories. We got a really good comment last week. Someone pointed out that Baldwin getting shot in the cheek will be a really good way of distinguishing between her and the Earth 1 counterpart. And I just think it's funny that was a really good idea, but it never really came into play because now she's gone already.
It's true, because I had that in my mind, because I read that comment as well, and I was like, okay. And then they introduced her counterpart in this one, but immediately it's like, oh no, there's no way you'd mistake them, because your hair was completely different.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that doesn't seem like the reason. And then it's like, well, now she's gone anyway. Because
I think early on in the episode, I would have maybe thought, oh, maybe she'll like capture her and she'll convince her to help her and go back over for her. So she'll shave her head and like send her back over to Earth 2 to like, you know, on her behalf, or even not even get her to agree to, just force her to do it.
Yeah.
So that she's not getting captured or whatever. Like, I thought that might be something that happens early on, but so I thought that was good. That was a solid thought process. It's just not with the
No, it was a good idea, but ultimately, I think this show they're showing it with, you know, with Howard. They don't need looks to differentiate, even at a glance. I mean, sure, they're wearing different outfits, but it's all about their demeanor and their attitude and the way they do that. It's all in the acting instead of it's a visually just distinct.
Yeah, I think what this is as well, as much as I'm kind of upset we don't get to play with the two versions of her anymore, I do like that for some of the characters saying, no, there's only one that this could be. We're not going to, like, we're obviously not going to we're not setting you up for a twist every time that she's on screen where she could be the other one.
We're going to do it at some point with someone.
Yeah.
But we don't need to do it all the time.
But we're setting certain characters in concrete as saying, no, there's only one of them.
It'll feel like a better moment as well when it does happen, because there's only limited options of when it can happen now. And
for now, Emily's in that boat as well. I mean, eventually, you know, Earth 1 Emily will probably wake up and we'll get some sort of interesting dynamics there, but
yeah, it feels likely that when that happens, it's going to be with Howard.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. And it'll be interesting to see if we see Emily 2 try and pretend to be Emily 1 or vice versa and trick the Howard she's with, or, you know. But no. So, no, but let us know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. You can do that over there. There's a link in the description. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?